All right, buddy, we're back. Hailey Dunn. Can you give a quick introduction as to who this person was?
Okay. Hailey Dunn is a famous missing murdered child from Colorado City, Texas. She went missing on December 27, 2010. It made national news. She was on the Nancy Grace show. Millions of people know who Hailey Dunn is, kind of like John Benet Ramsey. You know, she was one of the ones that become famous. And part of the reason is because she was a real pretty little blonde cheerleader. Okay. And she goes missing from a Texas town at Christmas, basically, you know, on December 27th. And so the next thing is, you know, how's that connected to my house, right? Well, Colorado City, Texas is only 80 miles from here. And there was reporting sightings of her here and this happened 2010s all in the time around when I first reported my first burglary, right? That was going on. And also it was 2 months after that oil show party where Angie told me that young girl was murdered at. Okay. And so, so there was a time. So in, 2012, I was shot. And then in 2013, I wrote the Department of Justice Safe Child Project, and I suggested they come to my home and they look for clues in they find the underground homes here, and they look for clues in the disappearance of Hailey Dunn, the famous missing murdered child. Okay. I have the print screen of the email where I contacted the Department of Justice. Okay,
buddy. So why would you do that? You thought that somehow, why would you correlate your house
because I was told about a young girl that was murdered at that oil show party for refusing to prostitute, and I suspected that a child sex trafficking was going on. Okay, that's why I was putting it all together. That was the forced prostitution. Okay, and you know, and so I was. There's other evidence, but that was the main reason. I was suspecting child sex trafficking. So, you know, and I was told about the other young girl that Angie told me about that was murdered at the whole show party. Okay. And so it just made sense. Right. And so that's the reason I contacted them. But 2 days after I wrote that letter, the remains of Hailey are found in Scurry County. That's a giant coincidence. I mean, she had been missing for over 2 years, right? National news. As soon as I write this letter and suggest they look in the underground homes here, which we know are here, bada bing, bada boom, there she is. Okay. I fully believe that that the people that are breaking my home every day, all right, they're spying on me. They're listening to my phone calls, et cetera, that they are watching my emails. They knew that I had sent this to the Department of Justice, and they don't want that underground home exposed. And so they have connections where they went and dug up her remains in Odessa and took her to Scurry County. And I'm going to go on because now, since then, since that had happened, I've documented about 10 people with recordings, secret recordings, screenshots, etc., saying that Hailey was killed in Odessa. This is who, where, how, when, it's all of it, okay? These are incredible recordings on my YouTube channel. I made about 35 videos about Hailey Dunn, you know, and they're truly incredible, okay? Well, right now, if the public knows that they've arrested Sean Atkins, the mother's boyfriend, okay, they did that last year or a year ago, and they got him charged with murder, saying he bashed her head in. Well, none of these people that said who was there when Hailey was killed, okay, I mean, they said who was there when Hailey died, where she was at, et cetera. I got the address of the home in Odessa, okay? But none of them said Sean was there. I think they're framing him, okay? And they're letting all these other people go, and they're literally naming the names of people that are Aryan Brotherhood, okay, and gang members. And some of them are doing, you know, in prison for murder right now. Some of the people that were named as being connected with kidnapping Hailey in Colorado City, taking her to Odessa and pimping her out. And it had to do with the drug debt that the mom owed. One thing that the public was never told was that the mom was a stripper at the time, you know, and, you know, that's been hidden from the public by the press that the mom was a stripper. Well, I think that's important since her daughter died, you know, and, you know, and that would be a place where she might meet these gang members. And what one person said, or multiple people said, that Hailey was killed over a drug debt that the family owed. and specifically the mom. One person wrote me, she was a drug rehab counselor, Christy Otts. And so she tells me, she says, I got the confession to Hailey from a client that I come into a turning point where she worked, named Brett Bushman was his name, and said that he told me that they got her for a drug death in the mom owed, and then she overdosed and died. And after that, they called the mom up, and then they bent her, broke her, and buried her in a box outside of Odessa. I got a print screen from this drug rehab counselor telling me that. Okay, and that's only one person. Okay, and I got other people documented saying, yeah, this person's the one who gave her the hot shit. And then another woman I talked to, she says, I believe it happened in my house on Cloudcroft in Odessa. And she names the people, and then she says, buddy, please don't tell anybody. Don't make this public. These people scare me. They're dangerous. And 6 months later, she's dead. Raina brought. I've got all the print screens from our conversations for Raina brought. And then another woman, I want to tell you about, she's the one that News West 9 reported on, as saying that she wrote a letter saying that she believed Hailey, she was at a house where Hailey was overdosed and died. Okay. I'll remember her name here in a minute, but Sandra, I think his name's Sandra. But anyways, she called me from the prison, and I recorded her. Okay, secretly recorded her once again. Have you noticed this pattern of me secretly recording? Because I had done a Hailey Dunn video that had went viral, and her sister had seen it, and her sister lived in Abilene, so her sister contacted her in the prison, and she called me, okay, and she says, yeah, buddy, she says, I was there, and I saw Hailey, and I didn't know what to do. It was either her and me or just her, and she's confessing to me over the phone of being a witness to Hailey dying at this home in Odessa, okay?
So the whole situation is what? That they claimed that she was found, I guess, in a field or something in Scurry County, basically in Colorado City area.
Scurry County, that's where she was found. And it's about 30 miles from where Sean lived or whatever. And actually I had 3 people tell me, buddy, we searched that area. There was nobody there. I had people tell me that area was already searched where they found her. And so I fully believe they moved her. I believe they moved her from Odessa, Ector County, to Scurry County because I sent that email to the Department of Justice, and they reburied. And even further than that, the guy that found her, Curtis Lloyd, he's the guy that found her. I found her out while arrowhead hunting or whatever, And here's an interesting story about Curtis Lloyd, that one of the homes here in Midland that people report in the attic, my roofer actually told me about it. I was having my roof done, and he said, yeah, we just did a house, and the woman over here, she had us go up and look in her attic because she believed somebody was up there. And that was a home on Dartmouth Street. Okay. Well, so I did I went over and I visited with her, Shirley Gist, and she was so relieved when I told her that she wasn't the only person, because they were calling her crazy. That's what they do to all the crime victims. They don't tell them about all us other crime victims, and they call them crazy. And she was so relieved. Well, the next thing I do is look at the next door neighbors, because that's where I believe the tunnel originates from. That's the closest path. Okay. And I noticed that next door to that house on Dartmouth is a guy named Lloyd. And I start Googling to find out who he is. And that's the parents of Curtis Lloyd. So I think Curtis probably grew up in that home, and that Curtis is part of the people in the attic crime ring. That's what I call them. And he was instructed to go find her remains, because I think that Curtis Lloyd, and I'm suspecting that Curtis Lloyd's parents might have a tunnel that goes over to the house on Dartmouth, and it's part of the same thing. They go up a modified wall, they live up there, it's free room and board. It's what I've been telling you. Okay. But this crime ring somehow looks like it has a connection back to the Hailey Dunn murder, And I think law enforcement should talk to Curtis Lloyd because that's what I'm suspecting, that Curtis Lloyd was instructed to go out there and find her remains 2 days after I wrote the Department of Justice, There's more to that story, a whole bunch more on my, on my YouTube channel of the recordings and the screenshots, but there's just so much evidence. I'm 100% absolutely convinced. I talk to people that talk to Hailey. Allison Dunn's conversation, not Dunn, but Allison Frazier's. She did there's a video out there. It's on my YouTube channel where she talked to a Hailey Dunn blogger. Okay. And she tells who, where, how, everything. It's the tell-all, conversation right there is Allison's, as far as I'm concerned. And she was saying that her boyfriend, her baby daddy or whatever, her former boyfriend, Rickman was his name, Bertie. He was a member of that gang, Aryan gang members, whatever, that him and his buddy, she named them. They went over to Odessa and they kidnapped Hailey. And it was because of a drug debt that the mom owed. And they brought her back to Odessa to pimp her out and make their money back. Okay. And then she overdosed and died. And she told me she saw her over there. She talked to her. Okay. And she was talking about the clothes that Hailey was wearing. She says, yeah, you see them clothes? That's my clothes. You see them pants and that's my clothes. Nobody would make that up. You know what I mean? Nobody. Well, it is so obvious when you listen to that phone call that she's telling the truth. That's what she's like. Yeah, I see that bandana. That's mine, because Bertie had come to her and asked her for clothes. And it was for Hailey because they had kidnapped Hailey. And so she gave her clothes. And then you got a picture taken in it. That's what she's talking about. So anyway, that's part of that story. So now it looks like to me, as far as I'm concerned, they're trying to frame Sean, and I don't think Sean's totally innocent. My guess is Sean was probably doing the meth with the mom, the $135 worth of meth that was owed to the dealers, right? And that's my guess, but I don't know that, and maybe Sean knew where she was at. So Sean might not be totally innocent, I ain't saying he is, but from all the many people I documented who named the names of the people that were there, they actually called out names, then his name was never mentioned. But them other people's names was mentioned, and none of them have been arrested. And so and I think, let me go back one step further. Here's why I think the cover up for the Hailey Dunn murder. Okay. The oil show party I told you about in 2010 that my friend Angie was at. Okay. Lots of people were at. These are big deals. Okay. Angie was ordered to work there, which I think a lot of women were. And then the young girl didn't want to prostitute. She was murdered, et cetera. Okay. Well, it only makes sense that all the strippers in the area were working the oil show party. Okay. They were told they were going to be working too. It was the big money maker. That's all that's all it said. All these millionaires coming in from all over the world, in the oil field, that's the big money maker. She's a stripper. Billy. So that puts Billy Dunn in my backyard 2 months before Hailey went missing in October 2010. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Now that's speculation, but that's pretty good speculation. You know what I mean? That Billy was at them old show parties. Now, one woman told me, I have her name, I have a print screen. She says, buddy, I got it from good word that Billy was taking Hailey to the strip clubs with her. Well, I'm thinking if Billy was taking Hailey to the strip clubs with her, then she took her to the old show parties. And the wealthy and powerful people at the old show parties, they would do anything to make sure nobody finds out that this famous missing murdered child was at that party with them. You know what I'm saying? They would do anything to cover that up. And I think that's why this whole cover-up's gone on the Hailey Dunn murder. But that's speculation. We have to separate speculation from fact, but it's very good speculation to speculate all the strippers in the area were at the oil show parties, and Billy Dunn was a stripper at the time. I got multiple people telling me that. Okay. And like I said, it looks like the oil show parties were going on in the backyard and, in the underground homes, with one in my backyard. And don't forget that the previous homeowner, he died the week before the 2008 oil show party started.